Hello my loves, it's Monica and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited today because I am back with a new book haul and book unboxing. I have not done a book haul in a minute, and this, I believe, is going to be the final book haul of 2022 for me, which is wild. Cannot believe we are almost to 2023. I honestly am trying not to think about it. I feel like my mind is mentally still in February. So alas, here we are at the end of the year, but regardless, I'm very excited to share all these books with you guys. I have quite a few to share and to talk about, and I'd love to hear from you all. What are some books that you've recently acquired, or if you've read any of these, I'd love to hear your thoughts on them and if you think I'll like them, but please, obviously no spoilers. But yeah, I'm so excited to dive in. But before I do and talk about the books that I'm going to be reading in the future, I wanted to talk a bit about a story that I have been reading recently and loving, and that is The Remarried Empress. And I have been reading this on the Yonder app, which I'm super excited to actually be partnering with for this video. And Yonder is owned by Webtoon, and it's basically a place to read web novels. And The Remarried Empress is this really famous Korean web novel that I have been wanting to read for years, absolutely years, and I'm so excited. Like, I was so over the moon when I saw that it was on Yonder because yeah, I've been wanting to read it for so long and I have just been obsessed with it. It's definitely my new obsession. I started it a couple days ago and I am quite a few chapters in, like an embarrassingly amount of chapters in. The premise of the story is that we follow this empress named Navier, and she has been raised to be empress, to marry the emperor, to be just and right, to always follow the rules, and she has very much lived her life that way. And while she is not in love with her husband, like they were never a love match, they always had like a mutual respect for each other and partnership, until one day he brings home a mistress, and that really changes up their whole relationship dynamic. And then he drops this bomb on her that he wants a divorce and he wants to marry his mistress. But then she, Una, reverse cards him and is like, well, I'm also getting remarried. And then you sort of jump into the past and you unravel like how they got to this point and like what's happening. And it's just so fun. It legitimately is like reading a historical Korean drama, which if you are a fan of those, you know how just like dramatic and fun and ridiculous and over the top they are, and this one is no exception. And if you do check it out, you should let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let's discuss it, because yeah, I'm obsessed and I'm very excited to continue reading, and I'm so thankful that it was on the Yonder app. If you want to check out The Remarried Empress and more stories like it on the Yonder app, I will have them linked down below, and you can use my code Monica, which will get you some free coins that you can use to unlock future chapters. So yeah, it's really fun, and it's pretty much a similar format. Like if you're familiar with Webtoon, that like chapter by chapter style, it's very similar, which also makes it like very easy to just like read a lot and to get very consumed and like enthralled in a story, which is honestly so fun. So yeah, definitely I'm having a blast reading that. But now I'm gonna dive into the books that I've recently acquired and tell you about all of those. So these first few books are the ones that I purchased during my cozy mystery reading vlog, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on them, but I just wanted to talk about them here too. So the first one is Shady Hollow by Juno Black, and this is a writing duo, and I've already read this. The way that I describe this is that it's like a spin-off cozy mystery set in either the Zootopia or Nevermore universe, basically a universe where animals are like humans, and it's so cute. It takes place in this forest. We follow this reporter Fox who is trying to solve the mystery of this murder of a curmudgeonly turtle, and or toad, I think he's a toad, and it's such a delight and such a cute and cozy read. If you are interested in getting into cozy mysteries and you want something that has a dash of whimsicality to it, I highly recommend checking this one out. It is adorable. Then when I was Googling well-written cozy mysteries, this is the first book that came up, and it is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And this one follows a group of senior citizens who are all living in a retirement village together, and they love to talk about unsolved crimes. And then one day an actual crime occurs and they are on the case. And I just think that sounds delightful. I've heard wonderful things about this book, and I'm really excited because my friend Reagan from Peruse Project and I recently launched our podcast called Cozy Club, and this is our book club pick. So we are reading this throughout December and January for our book club episode in February. So if you aren't subscribed to the Cozy Club podcast, I will have more info in the description box below. But it has been so fun to do this podcast with Reagan. She is, you know, one of my best friends in the whole world, and so to work on a project with her has just been, you know, so lovely. Anyways, very excited to read this one. I'm probably going to read it over Christmas when I go home, and I'm so excited for that. Then I picked up Dark Rising by C.S. Pacat, and this is a dark YA fantasy novel, and honestly I was just kind of like in the mood for like a YA, like dark fantasy, like exactly what this is. This seems to play into that sort of classic fantasy trope of like light versus dark, and there is a boy who is a dock boy, and he is like thrust into this battle. And this one has some really good blurbs from V.E. Schwab: a propulsive new fantasy, I simply couldn't put it down. Chloe Gong: a story rendered with devastatingly brilliant detail. Dark Rise pulls you by the hand into a dangerous, mighty world you won't be able to look away. And then Rainbow Rowell: intricate and immersive, a wonderfully tangled adventure story with a chosen one who keeps you guessing. And yeah, I wanted that sort of classic YA chosen one story, and I wanted it to be moody and dark. And so when I saw this, I was like, well, okay, perfect timing, thank you. And I believe a couple of you commented and said that you had read this and really liked it, so hoping I will too. And lastly, I have Cult Classic by Sloane Crosley, and this is supposed to be a rom-com thriller, which I love the sound of that, and it's supposed to have like sci-fi, literary, fantasy elements to it also. And at its core, it's supposed to be an exploration of like the philosophy of romance, which sounds so interesting to me. But in this one, we follow a woman who is out for a night on the town, and she's in Chinatown, and she runs into one of her exes, and then another ex, and another ex, and another ex. And the story unfolds from there. I don't really know a lot more than that. Like, that sounds very vague, and I feel like there's probably a lot more going on in this book than that, but I kind of like not knowing too much because obviously it is a thriller mystery novel, but it's also stunning. So very intrigued. And then lastly, I picked up Thieves, which is a graphic novel, and it just looked so cute. And I was hanging out with my friend Matthew, who is also a booktuber, Matthew Sharapa, and he really liked this one and highly recommended it. And I was already like kind of eyeing it because it just looked so cute, and once he gave his sign of approval, I was like, yes, I must have that book then. And in this one, we follow two I believe they're both lesbian girls, and they are reverse shoplifting from what I understand. I don't know, that just sounds adorable, and I'm intrigued, and the art is stunning, so regardless, it's pretty at least. The next book I have is Over the Woodward Wall by A. Deborah Baker, and this book was actually sent to me, and that was so sweet and kind and totally just made my day. So I always save the notes. This is from Melinda, and they said, "Happy Thanksgiving, love your cozy videos." And yeah, it just made my day, and it was so sweet, and I'm so excited to read this one. It's been on my list for so long. So if you don't know, A. Deborah Baker is actually Seanan McGuire, and this is Seanan McGuire. It's very meta, but Seanan McGuire writing a book that was a book within one of their other novels, which I'm totally blanking on the name of right now. Anyways, regardless, this is a portal fantasy with these two kids who find themselves in this other land, and I just feel like Seanan McGuire like gets portal fantasy better than anyone at this point. Like, I mean, I just love the Every Heart a Doorway series, so I've been really keen to read this. I think the book is Middlemarch. Is that the name of it? It's the one that has a hand on the cover, and my phone is right here, so I could just Google it. Let's do that. Okay, I just looked it up. The book is Middle Game, and so this book is a book in Middle Game that's referenced, and I do still have to read Middle Game. So I'm gonna plan, I might actually do a vlog where I read both in one vlog. Let me know if that would be of interest to anybody. But yeah, I've just been really keen to read this, and I love the idea of like, I love when authors do that, when they reference a book and then they write the book. I just feel like that's so fun. So very excited for this, and thank you so much, Melinda. Next, I have 10,000 Stitches by Olivia Atwater, and this is the sequel to Half a Soul, which is a cozy romance book set during the Regency era, and it's so cute and adorable. It gives Howl's Moving Castle vibes, and as soon as I read it, I knew I had to pick up the sequel, so I did, and I'm so excited for this one. And this one we follow Effie, who is a housemaid, and she has fallen in love with a fairy lord, as one does. And yeah, I'm just so excited for this. The first one was so cute, so I've been really excited to continue with the series. I guess we could do some unboxings because they've been staring at me for so long. I was like, okay, I'm going to be good, and I'm gonna set all these aside and I'm gonna save them for my book haul, and I did that. Go me, pat on the back. But we're finally gonna open these. So this one's already like been torn in the mailing process. But first up, I've got 3 books. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's been a minute since I ordered these, so I'm like, what did I get? It's like Christmas. This first one I got is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I 100% bought this off of a TikTok. Like, I wish I had saved the TikTok. It was something about like the ending, like basically that they were just totally like the ending just totally like blew their mind or whatever, and I was really intrigued by that because it's a romance, I believe. And yeah, like I didn't even think about it. I was just like, this person, like sometimes, do you ever get TikToks like that where like someone is just so convincing about like why something is gonna be amazing, and so you immediately just go and buy it, and then you like wake up the next day and you're like, why did I do that? That's this book. I was just like convinced. I was like, yes, sounds great. I will get that book. Didn't even look at the synopsis. So this book also just sounds so cute. We follow Macy and Elliot, and Macy is she's in her adult life, and she's sort of like on her way to just a very comfortable life, you know, nothing too exciting, but also she's feeling secure. You know, she's gonna marry an older man, she's working as a podiatrist assistant, and everything's fine. And then she runs into Elliot, who was the first love of her life, and they were childhood friends who grew into more, and we follow them in like alternating timelines between like today and then back then. And I love stories like that. Like I love alternating timelines, and this just sounds so cute. Like it's basically Macy, it says teenage Elliot and Macy grow from friends to much more, spending weekends and lazy summers together in a house outside San Francisco, devouring books, sharing favorite words, and talking through their growing pains and triumphs. As adults, they have become strangers to one another until their chance reunion. And I just love the idea of that. So very intrigued for this. Hopefully TikTok did not lead me astray. I know Christina Lauren is like really popular in the romance genre, so maybe some of you have read this one and you could tell me if I made a mistake or not, but hopefully not. It looks adorable. Then I finally picked up In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, because this always gets recommended when I'm looking for like mystery books, especially ones that have like a dark academia twist to them, and I love dark academia, I love mysteries, and so of course I had to get this one. And in this one we follow a group of college friends who are returning after 10 years back to their college campus, and they were friends on campus, but then a murder of one of their friends occurred, and then it splintered their friend group, and so this is all of them coming back together again. And yeah, very intrigued. I've heard such amazing things about this book specifically, and so I kept almost buying it, so I finally just like threw it into my cart. And I was like, okay, we're finally just gonna get this one. So very excited for this one. And I know it's very popular, so hopefully we'll have something fun to discuss in a future video. Then I also picked up The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. And this one my friend Michelle was reading and was just raving about as she was reading it. and had me really intrigued to pick it up. I've just also just heard amazing things about this book. I feel like it's been everywhere over the past year or so, and it sounds beautiful. One of the blurbs says, Marjan Kamali weaves a powerful, heartbreaking story of star-crossed lovers and Iran's political upheavals, a layered historical saga of a country struggling towards democracy, and an intimate meditation on a love from which we never recover, which sounds amazing. And I also just love historical, like, saga kind of books in general, so I've been really keen to read this, and so I'm really excited that I have it in my hands. I might also bring this one home with me. This next one's name is amazing, and just the premise itself is just, it just sounds so phenomenal, and I hope it's good. I really hope it's good. So that is YN by Esther Yee, and so if you are a fanfic reader, you are familiar with YN for sure. And then the sort of blurb for this one is surreal, hilarious, and shrewdly poignant, a novel about a Korean American woman living in Berlin whose obsession with a K-pop idol sends her to Seoul on a journey of literary self-destruction. Like, what? I have no concept of what this book is going to be like. It's literary fiction from what I understand, but it's also like an exploration of like obsessive K-pop culture, and I want it to be good. I want it to be good so badly. Also, I love, the K-pop star is named Moon in this one, and so I have headcanoned in my head that they are talking about Jin. Basically, Moon is Jin. We'll see. But yeah, I have no idea. This is an advanced copy, which I normally do not accept advanced copies just because I'm so bad about, like, I'm such a mood reader, so I'm really bad sometimes about like reading advanced reader copies. But as soon as I heard the synopsis for this, I was like, I must have that in my hands immediately, and I'm so excited to have it. Oh my gosh, speaking of K-pop, I also have Bright by Jessica Jung. This is the sequel to Shine, and Jessica Jung was one of the members of Girls' Generation who quit, was fired. There's history there. And okay, I will be honest, Shine was not the best written book that I've ever read, but it was fun and also just like interesting, like, because Jessica has like legitimately been in the K-pop world and industry, to just read from her perspective. So I've been really intrigued for the sequel and just to see how she continues that story. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about that. I'm just intrigued, and I hope I like it, or at least that it's like interesting / fun. You know, I'm not expecting like Proust here, but I am excited nonetheless. All right, I have another unboxing. This one is eBay. First of all, we've got The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells, and I want to collect a bunch of more diverse classics that I haven't read yet and read them and just talk about them on my channel. So this is the first of many that I will be picking up. So I'm starting off with The Invisible Man, and I have a long list of books that I'm hoping to acquire over the next like few months, and we'll hopefully have a like good reading vlog later this year for you all. This is, I will admit, not the best condition that I've ever seen a book in, but you know what? That's kind of the fun of it. It's very much giving like, you know, when you're at school and you have your assigned reading and there's like that big stack of books. It's like that style. Like, it's very much like been in a classroom for 20 years kind of thing. But you know what? Kind of a vibe. Yeah, smells like high school. Love it. Anyways, this is a science fiction novel where we follow basically the stranger arrives at this inn and he's completely covered in bandages, and you as the reader and the villagers are kind of like discovering what's going on with him. And it says what they discover is not only a man trapped in the terror of his own creation, but a chilling reflection of the unsolvable mysteries of their own souls. And then the second book I picked up is The House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende, and I've never read this. I've always wanted to, and I recently, like on TikTok, again, TikTok ruining my life and my budgets, but there was a clip from the film adaptation of this, which I never even knew existed, and it just looked very good. So I was like, okay, I need to read it. I need to read it, and then I need to watch it. And I know people love this book so much, and so the fact that I haven't read it yet is a travesty, and I want to fix that. I will say that the photo listing for this did have a different cover, which was why I ended up buying it off of eBay, but it's fine. This cover is also beautiful. Also, this is a multi-generational novel, which I love a multi-generational novel. It says, together, men and women, spirits, the forces of nature and of history converge in an unforgettable, wholly absorbing, and brilliantly realized novel that is richly entertaining as it is a masterpiece of modern literature. I love stories that are like, you know, for example, Pachinko is one of my favorite novels of all time, and it tells the story of this one family, but in telling that story of this family, it's also telling the history of a nation, and I love stories that do that, and so that is the vibe that this is also giving me, and I'm very excited for that. Speaking of multi-generational novels, I have in my hands what is now the biggest book that I own, so that will also probably be a future reading vlog. Yeah, this book is huge, and I go to the bookstore. Every time I go to the bookstore, I would look at this book, I'd hold it in my hands, and I'd be like, I really want to read this. It sounds really good, but also I could impale someone with it. If I dropped this on someone's head, it probably would cause a concussion. And it's a little intimidating, it's a little scary, but I finally bought it and I'm so excited for it when I one day read it. And that is The Eighth Life. We basically follow this Georgian family who live on sort of the edge of the Russian Empire, and they have this famous hot chocolate recipe, and we just follow them from like multiple generations. And the blurb from the New Yorker calls it a multi-generational epic, offers not only a critique of Soviet and Russian imperial ambitions, but a necessary reappraisal of Georgian history. Again, I love a multi-generational family saga that tells the history of a nation. Anyways, this sounds sensational. It sounds very good. Sounds very harrowing. It's large. It's chunky. I feel like it does not look as big on camera as it does in person. Here, let me compare it to, like, okay, The House of Spirits. This is a pretty large book, okay? Like, it is not, she's chunky. It's like basically 1,000 pages. That's a lot for me, but I'm very excited, very excited. So the other day we had a Christmas party at our apartment, and it was so cute. We had a bunch of our friends over, and we do themed white elephant. So instead of like everyone just like getting like kind of joke gag gifts, we set themes for our white elephants. That way like everyone kind of gets something that they actually want, and it also just like makes it a little bit easier for everyone and less wasteful. So we did a candle one and then also a book one, and for the book one we kind of were inspired by the blind date with a book things that you sometimes see at bookstores, and so everyone wrote like little like blurbs or like one-liners for why someone should want to read their book, and then we all went around and like picked different books and things. Anyways, the book that I got was Bel Canto by Anne Patchett, and I think the descriptors for this one were like opera, like dramatic, romantic, something like that, and I have heard this title frequently like talked about, but I've never read it, and I saw it and I was like, that sounds so interesting. So actually my friend Emma originally got this one and then I stole it. If you know the rules of White Elephant, that's a thing, so I stole it from her. So sorry, Emma. I just really wanted to read it. This is set somewhere in South America. That's literally what it says, somewhere in South America, and at the home of a country's like vice president, there is this lavish birthday party happening, and then this opera singer has like really dazzled all the guests and everyone's having a delightful time until there is a hostage situation happening at the party. And so that's sort of the premise of the story, but one of the blurbs says it is the most romantic novel in years, a strange terrific spellcasting story. And I'll be honest, like that synopsis does not give me romance, but what I've come to realize is that I often like the romances that like impact me the most, that I love the most, are the ones that like aren't really giving romance in the synopsis, where like the romance is kind of like part of the book but not the whole book. So because of that, I'm really intrigued and hopefully I love it. We'll see. Hopefully I didn't just steal it for nothing. Speaking of romance, I don't know why I bought this one. I mean, I do know why, but anyways, I bought Court of the Vampire by Katie Robert. Listen, I saw a TikTok and they said that if you like Damon Salvatore, you should buy this book, and I love Damon Salvatore. I know that he's problematic and that I should not love Damon Salvatore and that he murders people. But I just love him, okay? I love the Vampire Diaries, and if this gives me any of those feelings, it was worth it. Yeah, anyways, this is like, it's I believe it's just like an adult romance. Vampires are here, and that's all I really want to know. That's all I really need to know. I'm sure there's an actual plot to it, but like, do we care? Do we? And then I also picked up Demon in the Wood, which is the Shadow and Bone graphic novel about the Darkling, which I've been meaning to read. I can't believe I haven't read it yet. So I will read this soon. It's basically like like an origin story of sorts for him. And as much as I hate the Darkling, I also love the Darkling. So can't wait to read this. All right, we are coming to the end. I have one more box to unbox and see what I ordered for myself. I also don't remember what's in here, so it'll be a fun little surprise for both of us. Also, just a reminder, I've been collecting all of these books for months, basically, in a little pile in my room, so I did not buy these in like a couple of days. Oh, I remember what's in here. So I had to get, that's upside down, had to still get the Atlas Parable, or Paradox, not Parable. I still had to get the Atlas Paradox, which is the sequel to the Atlas 6. And so I read the Atlas 6 when it was still self-published, and my copy is the self-published copy, and I didn't realize that there were some decent changes made to the finished book when it got published through Tor. So I had to pick up the original, the first book, and I hope to reread this. And then also, they just look so nice together, you know? I will say, I just feel like Olivia Blake, listen, these are lovely, much better than what they did to Alone with You in the Ether, but I just like, whoever designed her books originally, I don't know if she designed them, they did a really good job. And I just don't know if Tor is doing as good of a job. These still look nice, and I'm very excited for them. And I'm very excited to read this, especially the Atlas Paradox, because the ending to the Atlas 6 blew my mind. It was incredible, in my opinion. It's one of those books that I will say, for a lot of people, it's probably going to be overhyped if you like bought it and read it after like it went super viral. But if you can like set your expectations and just go into it expecting like a fun, interesting fantasy, like super dramatic, melodramatic fantasy, you're gonna have a fun time. You're gonna have a great time, like I did. Like, it basically reads like an old school CW show. Like vampire, like this could be adapted in the same style as Vampire Diaries, and I would not complain. So anyways, highly recommend this series if you haven't read it yet, or at least the first one. I haven't read the second one, but very excited to do that. That was my very large book haul. I'm not looking forward to having to pick up all these books for the thumbnail. I was gonna try and do it now to like show you guys, but that's just not gonna happen. This is very precarious, what's happening next to me right now. But anyways, I had so much fun doing this. It's been a minute since I've done a book haul, so I always love, they just make me really excited to read, you know? So hopefully this video made you all excited to pick up some books and read yourselves. And again, I'd love to hear from you all what you thought, if you read any of these, or let me know what you've recently picked up that you're excited about. And if any of you do read The Remarried Empress, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We can discuss the dramatic, wonderful story that is. Thank you so much again to Yonder for sponsoring this video. I'll have them linked down below also. But yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!